Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be going over the basics for Google Drawings. So my recommendation, in order to get into Google Drawings, open up a new tab, hit your waffle, go to Drive. And then in your Drive, you're going to go to New, go to More, and Google Drawings. And this is what it's going to look like if you've never used Google Drawings. Now, if you've never used Google Drawings, it's not a bad app, software, whatever you want to call it. There are some limitations to it, but overall, we can make it work for a decent amount of our projects or some of our applications, right? So two things we want to do right off the bat. So number one, you want to rename it. You never, ever, ever leave anything untitled. So what you're going to do, click in there, and you'll name it whatever you're naming, like whatever project you're working on, just like we've been doing in Onshape or Creative Engineering, whatever class we're in. So if we're in prototyping, if we're in period 6, it's your period, my first name, my last initial, and whatever project you're working on. So maybe you're working on the LED sign, maybe you're working on a coaster, whatever. You go period, first name, last initial, and then project. And then the very next thing you do is you have to change the size of your artboard. This square here, the checkerboard, that is our artboard. That is our workspace. Everything we design must fit inside this square. So in order to change our size, we go to File, Page Setup, and it's always going to default to standard 4x3. Always go to Custom. And then depending on what project you're going to work on, depends on the size. Now if you're working on the LED sign, you're going to set it to 3 inches by 3 inches. If you're working on a coaster, I think those are 4 inches by 4 inches, but you have to check the project sheet. So I set my document up, I renamed it, I set the page what I need to do, so now I can start designing. Whenever we are going to be designing in Google Drawings, whenever we want something to be cut, right? Whenever we want something to be cut, we're going to use the color red. Anything we want to engrave is going to be black. And anything we want to not engrave is going to be left as white or transparent, which is this checkerboard material. So if I go to the shape tool, which are up here, I can use most of these shapes here, right? So if I want to use a rectangle, I can click and drag a rectangle. I want to go to a circle, I'll click and drag a circle. I want to do, maybe I want to do an arrow, whatever. However, you cannot use something that has shadows like this, right? They're trying to make this look three-dimensional. That will not work with our equipment. So you can't use anything like that. But other than that, you can use most of any of the other shapes. Now, once you create a shape, or once you make a shape using the shape tool, you can change the infill, and you can change the border weight and the border color. Remember, anything you want to engrave is black and white. Okay, so if I go here to the fill color, to the paint bucket, I can go black if I want to engrave it, or white if I want to keep white and or transparent. If I want to keep the inside as the same color of whatever material we're working, and then we can engrave this outline, right? Anytime you have a line like this that has no color inside, or it's white, right? Your border weight must be 4 pixels or bigger. Okay, very, very, very important that we do that. If, let's just say we were doing a project where we're trying to cut something out, we could change our border color to red so we know that's going to be cut. All right, very, very important. But for this project, we're just going to engrave. So let's say I want to keep this as black, and I want to make it look like I cut out a circle from that rectangle. If you remember from Creative Engineering, that is called negative space. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this circle, I'm going to make it white infill, and then the border color I'm going to make as transparent, meaning no color. And I'm going to take my circle and I'm going to put it over top of my square. Now, you certainly can also use this as a way to cut off a part of a shape. That really is helpful in order to make some shapes. You also, right, if I right-click, order, I can send it back. So now it's going to be back behind my shape. Okay, so if I want to put the square behind the circle, click on it, right-click, order, send to back, and now my circle is in the front. Now with my arrow tool selected, I can drag a box around it, right click, and then group, and now this is going to move together as one shape, right? That's really helpful, really important. In order to make your own shape, right, if I go to the line tool, I really want to focus on the curve and polyline tools. Those are two of the easiest ones to utilize and two of the best ones to utilize for our purposes. If I use the curve tool, right, because both the curve and polyline tool are pretty similar to the pen tool from Creative Engineering where you use Illustrator. So if I go to the curve tool, I click once to give me an anchor point, a starting point. And then I can go over and click again, and now I can start to make a shape that has curves. Helps it make it a little bit more organic, right? You have to make sure you close your shape. And once you do, it will infill it for you. If you do not close your shape like this, and I hit escape, which exits out of the tool, it goes away. So you have to close it. Now once it's enclosed, I can certainly fill it in, right? Or I can have it transparent or white, and then make my border width 4. Okay, completely up to you. But if I have it, it's just easier to show you this way. If I click on a shape, now you see those purple dots are my anchor points. I can now edit my shape by clicking and dragging those anchor points if I want to change what I originally had designed. Okay, it's super, super helpful. That's especially helpful with the curve tool. Now, if we're using the polyline tool, I click once and let go. Now this is going to be the same thing, except there are no curves. Okay, they're just going to be very sharp edges, very geometric. And close it. Again. And if you ever want to exit out of a tool, just hit escape on your keyboard. You get exits out. If I double click, the anchor points are still there. And now I can go ahead and edit them. They're just going to be very boxy or very sharp edges. If you want to do something curvy, well, use the curve tool. Okay, that should really help us. If you want to add text, okay, at the top, go to Insert, Word Art. Type in what you want to type in, hit Enter. All right, you can change your font to whatever you want. Make sure it fits in our workspace. Change the color. Right, whatever you want to do. If you want to make this, maybe you want to have something like this. And this would be white with the border color off. I put that in front. Right click, order, send to back. Boom, now it looks like it's being cut out of that square. Right, that should really, really help you, but you have to make sure you insert word art for any text. You can't just use the text box tool because it's going to get really, really weird when we go to export it. Right, that's very, very, very important. When you are all finished, right, everything's perfect, you love it, you're getting 100 on it, this is going to be your product for whatever we're making, we need to export it. In order to export a Google Drawing file, we have to export it as an SVG, okay, a scalable vector graphic. So in order to do that, we're going to go to File, right, File, Download, and then click SVG, Scalable Vector Graphic. If you choose one of these, right, they're not compatible. So I will not be able to make your design. It has to be a scalable vector graphic. And when I do, it's going to download it to our downloads, and then this is what we're going to be uploading onto the Google Classroom for our design. All right, I hope that helps. I'll see you in the next video.